Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to a little Rabble extra, if you like. It has been reported this morning that the board have no intention of letting Russell Martin go. It's been reported that there is no meetings scheduled for discussions with Russell Martin this week. That doesn't necessarily mean that he won't get sacked or there is no discussions this week, but it is what's being reported from sources who are rather close to the football club. So it would appear that Russell Martin is still being backed by Thelwell, Purdy, Kavanagh, Maraf, Stenson, whoever is at the top of the football club right now. Still believe that Russell Martin is the man to take this club forward after 5 games in the league in which he has been outcoached by everybody bar Brendan Rodgers. He has gave us one of our most embarrassing results in Europe, but don't worry about it. It's okay. It's fine. He is the man that's going to turn everything around. He is the right man to take this football club forward, according to the people that now own and run our football club. If that doesn't tell you how far out the loop these Americans are, nothing will. If that doesn't tell you how inept Kevin Thelwell, Dan Purdy, and Patrick Stewart are at running this football club on a day-to-day basis, then I don't know what will. We're in a sad state of affairs right now, and it isn't getting better anytime soon, folks. I've always caveated with, it's just my opinion, which of course it is. Absolutely everything that comes out my mouth is just my opinion. But I've always caveated it with, if he turns it round. If he turns it round. Of course he can turn it round. I could be wrong. Connor could be wrong. Brian could be wrong. Everybody associated with the Rabble and our comments could be wrong. Every Rangers supporter on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok could be wrong. We all could be wrong. I'm not saying that anymore. There is zero evidence to back that up. Absolutely zero evidence to back that up. Today, I am joined by the aforementioned Connor and Brian. And yes, I'm using my big dictionary words today. Connor, mate, first of all, how are you? Second of all, what is your reaction to the news that both think that Russell Martin's just fine and dandy?
Yeah, well, firstly, I'm all right, all things considered. It baffles me, this board. It really does. Like, I can understand if you're in a position whereby it's not been a great start, but you've won a couple of games, you've dropped a few points, and the board gone, look, we're still back. And if it was like a Ange Postecoglou when he came into Celtic, for example, he lost 3 of his first 6. If it was like that, I could understand them making that decision. I wouldn't be happy that you've lost 3 games, but I would understand because he's won games and you could see maybe some sort of improvement. There is nothing happening here. We are regressing, and that is a massive, massive alarm. But we've just had basically 2 weeks of an international break for Russell Martin to get them on the training park off the back of the draw in the Old Firm, and start, getting people, gelling together and working together. I know some people were on international break, but most weren't. There was an opportunity for him to try and come back, from that break, showing improvement. The window's closed, which he said, once the window closes, we'll be fine. And he comes back out, and that's the offering that the Rangers fans are given yesterday. Dominated at home by Hearts. I don't care how good Hearts are performing right now. That just should not happen. That's unacceptable. And by the way, this wretched home form stretches way back to last season as well. This team have thrown the towel in at home ever since Queen's Park knocked us out of the cup at home last season. It's like this team just can't cope playing in front of the 50,000 fans at Ibrox anymore. It's a disgrace. And yes, Russell Martin should be sacked. This board, quite frankly, should be sacked if that's the decision making that they're going with. It. They can't accept that they've made a mistake. Fix it now. If you sack him now, you can still salvage this season. Today we're going to be 9 points behind Celtic. We're already that behind Hearts. If you sacked him today, you get somebody in who had a clue what they were doing. It can be turned around. It is only September. It's not impossible. But leaving him in any longer, we're going to be out the cup at the weekend, because I'm telling you now, Hibs will beat us. We've got absolutely nothing. about us that tells me we're going to get remotely close to beating Hibs. So that'll be another defeat. And then what do they keep him in again until what? We're sitting 10th. What more do these people need? Do they not understand that this isn't fucking Southampton where that's acceptable? This isn't Everton where you can get away with that. This is Rangers. And at Rangers, we don't accept being 10th in the league, and we don't accept failing to win in your first 5 games and getting relegated in the Champions League.
This isn't Leeds.
This isn't Leeds, exactly. Yeah. But I don't know what Russell Martin has got to do for this board to wake up and smell the coffee. You know, there are managers who are available on the free agent market. Have a conversation with them. You know, if you're ambitious, have a conversation with Jose Mourinho. Have a conversation with Nuno Espirito Santo. I'm not saying you get these guys, but it shows an ambition that you would even approach them in the first place. You know, do that. Unfortunately, you know, it's not the case. And I don't know why somebody's digging me up about Chermiti. What's Chermiti got to do with anything? Well, you want me to come on here and slate him as well? I'll slate all the players for yesterday. It's not a problem. They were shite. Excuse the language, but they were. This is just as frank as that. But Russell Martin is the biggest problem. He just simply is.
Yeah, Brian, couldn't really have put it any better myself. How about you, buddy? And your reaction to the news coming out from Ibrox that Russell Martin's just doing a great job?
Yeah, all things considered, as Connor says, doing fine. I actually was expecting a loss yesterday. I was expecting a defeat. I wasn't expecting much else. And when you're going into games at Ibrox expecting a loss, that's when you know the game's up. That's when you know you've kicked the can down the road enough to know that things aren't going to work out. How many managers in the history of management have survived or stayed in a job longer than a few weeks after the dreaded vote of confidence? I can't think of many. If the dreaded vote of confidence comes from the board that, oh yeah, we're backing the manager, he's going to be fine, 99.99 times out of 100, that guy gets the sack within a few weeks. As Connor's just rightfully said, Hibs next weekend, that'll be another loss. And then beyond that, you're struggling to see where results are coming from, because at the end of the day, we're lying 10th in the league. We were lucky to get draws in the first 3 games, and that was against Motherwell, Dundee, and whoever the third team was, respectively. So we've struggled. I mean, look at Falkirk coming up. We're playing them quite soon. Are we actually going to have enough in the tank to get anything out of there? I mean, I thought this board were quite ruthless in the sense that, if they could see things aren't going wrong, they would make a decision early. They wouldn't hang around and wait for things or hope things get better. I thought this board would certainly act after they've seen the reaction at halftime was enough for me. And then, when was the last time you seen a manager getting booed coming out to a start of a second half? I mean, that for me is enough. There's no way back from it. Then, if you've got a whole stadium calling out a manager, saying, "Man, whoever the managers get to," there's no universe where this guy survives. It really doesn't. And he's admitted in his press conferences where he says, "Oh yeah, the vast majority of Rangers fans didn't want me anyway." And I'm like, well, why did you come then? Why did you take the job when you realised like a good majority of the fans didn't want you? I don't know. I'm really struggling to see where this board are, their reasoning for sticking with him. That's I see if they come out and says, right, we're sticking with him because of X, Y, Z. You could maybe that sort of look at it and go, okay, but there's nothing. See, well, come on, we started well. With managers previous, we've always had good starts, and then we've declined. But at least at the start, you could see something. Whereas right now, you do not see anything in Russell Martin's setup. You do not see anything where you think, right, there's green shoots here. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. For me, the players have chucked it as well. It looks as though they've thrown in the towel as well. Now, at least, as I say, at least with former managers, you could see green shoots of like a structure. You could see something where, all right, that's how we're playing. Okay, I can get behind this. Where now, straight off the bat, you do not see anything in Russell Martin. There's no patterns of play. The substitutions are all at pot. There's nothing where you actually get any glimmer of hope that he's going to turn this around. And I'm afraid this is going to be it's going to be like a long, slow death, because there's no turning back from Russell Martin. Let's be honest. He's not getting beyond this. And as somebody said, and I was speaking to somebody this morning about it. It's like, how low have we got to go down before we sack a manager? I mean, how do we have to sacrifice going out in the League Cup? Do we have to sacrifice going out in the League Cup? Do we have to sacrifice maybe going bottom in the next league games? Because I don't see us winning our next league game. We're marginally lucky in the sense that Aberdeen and I think Dundee are below us, or St Mirren. So Dundee. So it's we're in dire straits, and I'm afraid until the board grow a pair and decide that, I would have a bit of respect for them if they'd actually decided, right, we've made a mistake, guys. This is went wrong. It's not went the way we want. We're going to make a decision. We're going to reset this and start again. I would have some respect for them. The fact that they've actually come out and says we're backing him makes you wonder where their thought process is.
This is no dig at David Edgar, by the way, when I say this, because David Edgar's probably one of the smartest guys I know when it comes to Rangers and Rangers history and stuff like that, right? But when David Edgar can ask you a question and you've got absolutely zero answer to it, and you're the manager of Rangers Football Club, that's when you know. When anybody can ask you that question and you've got no answer to it, and you're the manager of Rangers Football Club, when he asks about, the team, are you going to walk? Are you going to leave? And he hits back with, Connor, we've got new players and we've got a new system. And like lightning, Edgar goes, so did Hearts. And he just glosses straight over it and continues on, Connor, with his bullshit answer.
Well, yeah, because he just doesn't get it, and of course he doesn't want to admit the fact that, Hearts, like us, have had that turnover. The difference being they've actually got a competent manager in the dugout who knows how to set up a team. Because the real issue is that, Russell Martin does not seem to grasp the enormity of the Rangers job. He doesn't seem to get why people are so annoyed right now. When he is trying to call out fans and he's talking about, and it's the same buzzwords he used at MK Dons, the same buzzwords he used at Swansea about anxiety and, noise coming from the stands and how this, that, the next thing affects the players. I mean, are you for real? What do you want the fans to do? If you're putting in performances like that, week in, week out, what are the fans supposed to do? Are they supposed to be sitting there cheering that on? Like, he has no understanding at all about what this is about. And the way he says his team up, nobody looks like they know what they're doing. I mean, it is amateur hour. I play in a football league designed to get people's fitness up, and I have seen better drilled teams at least understand what they should be doing. I mean, it's ridiculous. How can he be sending a team out there, seeing what we are seeing, and not think, I need to change something? Because clearly these players aren't good enough or aren't capable of playing whatever way I want them to play. Because, and by the way, don't forget, he signed these players. If he wanted to play a certain style of football, like this is how I play, why has he signed players who evidently cannot play that style of football? I really don't understand. And he's signing, periphery players for, the Championship in England or League One teams in England, the step up for their club with the size of Rangers is huge. You bring in a guy like Jedi Kasama. You know, Sheffield Wednesday fans told us this guy goes missing in the wee games. You know, he might turn up in some of the big games for you, you know, Europe and all the rest of it, but he has a tendency of going missing in the bread and butter games. And they have been proven to be absolutely 100% correct. That is exactly what has happened. When it comes to the Hearts games, the Dundee games, the Motherwell games, he's done nothing. He's disappeared. You know, but in the Champions League, he'll step up and score you a couple of goals. You know, he'll put in a bit of a shift against Celtic, even though he wasn't brilliant. But forget the rest of him. You know, honestly, I don't know what more that the board need. Russell Martin doesn't get it. He doesn't want to get it. And I tell you right now, I would take Michael Beale back in the dugout right now over Russell Martin. That's how bad he is.
Anybody in the dugout over Russell? Anybody in the dugout over Russell Martin? Anybody? I mean, Leo Heggie. Thank you very much for the super chat, my friend. I mean, Brian, Sheffield United sacked their manager after 6 games. Why can't we? Bayer Leverkusen sacked Ten Hag. Was it after 2 or 3 games?
2 games.
2 games. What's taking us so long?
If a team like Bayer Leverkusen, who not long won the Bundesliga, can sack Ten Hag after 2 games, there's no reason after this amount of time we should be able to sack Russell Martin. There's no nobody can sit there and explain to me or tell me that there's no reason not to sack. There's every reason to sack this manager. He's gaslit the fans. He's basically alienated our best player now. He has alienated Nico Raskin. Now, every manager that has been before that's had Russell Martin in his squad has played him, right? All of a sudden, we're now meant to believe out of Russell Martin that he is the problem. He's the bad egg out of this squad. Come on. A decent man. He says, you know, there's a clash of personalities in this. I'm quite sure there's been lots of players that have played under managers that can't stand. But I'll tell you what, when it comes to 3 p.m. on a Saturday, they'll play them because they know they can get the best out of them. They know they can produce the goods. So this is on Russell Martin and his man management now. He's got to find a way to get the best out of Nico Raskin, out of, you know, he's an asset to us just now. But the problem is the way Russell Martin's carrying on, he won't be an asset to us much longer because his value is just going to plummet, you know, till it's zero. So this can't. In what world does a manager in the Scottish League not play a Belgian international? I mean, come on. This guy's in the team with De Bruyne and Lukaku and Tielemans and all these guys who are, you know, brilliant, really good players, and we're now led to believe that this guy Raskin's the problem. Come on. You can do a lot of things for Rangers fans, but you can't. You can try and pull the wool over our eyes as much as you want, but we'll see through it every time.
That would be my point, Connor. That I don't know what's went on in the background with Raskin and Russell Martin. And when Russell Martin came out and said that he needs to make it back up to the players, etc., I took that to mean that something a lot more serious had happened with regards to Raskin. But apparently, it's just about connections on the park or some bullshit. It's not about what's actually been on in the background. There's loads of people coming out and saying that, Raskin has been leaking the team. Well, I can guarantee you 1 week that the team was leaked, it wasn't Nico Raskin, right? I can absolutely 100% guarantee you that, right? But if it's unless it's something extremely serious, Connor, that we don't know about, why on earth would you leave the best player in Scotland out of a team when you are playing Hearts, who are on fire at the moment? I don't understand the ego of that. Maybe Connor. Maybe actually, sorry, I'll just finish up on this and I'll let you in. Maybe it's because he knew that even if he got beat, he wasn't getting sacked.
Maybe. I mean, he did say a couple of weeks ago that he felt very comfortable in his job. Didn't think he was under any threat at all. Doesn't appear like he is. he should be, but apparently this board aren't interested. I mean, like the whole wrestling thing is mental to me. I don't get what the problem is. You know, the whole team sheets being leaked thing, whether he was involved in that or not, we'll never really know unless he comes out himself and tells us, or there's actual evidence put forward. But for some reason, Russell Martin is taking a disliking to Nico Raskin. Raskin ultimately has stayed at the club after the summer transfer window. He's a very decent player we should be using. Why we're not using him, I don't know. Russell Martin needs to get out, get over his own ego, quite frankly, and start realising if you want to win football matches, you need to play your best players. And keeping one out of the squad for your own egotistical, selfish reasons and not actually being clear, with the fans as to why that is, and just making cryptic comments about certain things, or he needs to make it up to the team or the contestants. Well, why? What has he done? I don't think it's unreasonable for Rangers fans to ask that, because quite rightly we're all sitting going, one of the best players in the league and you're not playing him. Fancy telling us why, Russell? It really is. I just don't get it. I don't. I also think it's maybe a part of, he's signed guys like Rothwell and stuff like that, and thinks, no, I'm playing my players, that's who I'm going to play. It took him long enough to pull Max Aarons out of the team, despite how poorly he was playing, and put Tav back in there again. And by the way, listen, your senior players, like your captain and James Tavernier, like your John Souters, like your Jack Butlins, they need to start stepping up to the plate as well and taking a bit of ownership over this. They are allowing this to slip. They've allowed this to slip since the tail end of last season. Some of the boys weren't here when it all went tits up at the end of last season. So, they're new guys coming in the door, and it seems there's just nothing going on between them and the senior players. And you know what? Quite frankly, if I was the players and you're that fed up with Russell Martin that you're not willing to lift a leg, which is what it looks like, then maybe they need to have a bit of backbone, and maybe the players themselves need to go to Kevin Thelwell or Patrick Stewart and say, listen, if he's going to still be in the dugout, then we're not playing. But they're still playing. So maybe they actually need to, potentially threaten a walkout themselves and say, listen, if he's still going to be in the dugout, then we will not play. And that might force their hand, because it's all right saying what the fans can do, and I agree, we do need to be protesting. We should be outside Ibrox protesting the board 100%. Because as I said to Brian before we come on, what sickens me even more about this is we're hearing these reports, for various sources online, Chris Jack, Daily Record, and all the rest of it. The board themselves, so as I understand it, have yet to release any kind of statement. It's like they think the fans are an irrelevance, that we don't matter. If you're going to stick by him with nothing on the park to show for why, now you need to come out and explain that. You have to. You have to come out and tell the fans why you think you're right and we're all wrong. Because at the end of the day, that stadium is just going to keep being empty. I'm telling you, this weekend against Hibs, you're going to see a lot of empty seats. There's people fed up with it. People who go every week who have seen even today saying that as long as he's there, I'm not going back. I won't be watching.
I've had loads of messages, Connor, off people saying I'm not going back till he's gone.
And I think, Mark, both of you, I think you've probably heard it from the same as me. People who are ardent Rangers fans who go to any game as long as Rangers are playing, they'll be there. When you're getting guys like that turning around and saying, "I'm not going back till he's gone," that for me is a point of no return as far as the manager. When you've got guys that will go anywhere in Scotland to watch Rangers suddenly turn around saying, you know what, I'm not going back until he's gone. Now, it takes a lot for some people to do that. There's guys that you never thought you would hear say that, and it's those guys that you thought you would never hear say that. When they say it, it takes you aback, and you're like, crikeys, this is how bad it's got. Guys that would go down to if Rangers were playing Berwick in the Scottish Cup, they would go all the way down there to watch them. And this is we're at that point now where people who are ardent Rangers fans who would go to any game are now turning around and saying they've had enough until he's gone. And that should be the wake up call for the board for me. And as Connor says correctly, the game against Hibs on Saturday in the Cup, that place is going to be more like a morgue than a football stadium. It'll be empty. If you get anything over 30,000, I'll be absolutely amazed. Anything over 30.
Yeah, I'll be amazed. I'll be amazed as well. To be brutally honest with you, can I just say a big, massive thank you to Paul McNabb, who has become a member on YouTube. Thank you very much, Paul, for your support, and I hope you enjoy the extra content. Right, I'm going to ask you both a question, right, that AJ's put in. And I want you to take this question seriously, right? And I want you to genuinely think about this and try and give me an answer, right? Connor, I'll start with you, mate. Give me a reason not to sack him. Any reason. Just one.
I don't have any.
No, I don't see
anybody in the comments as well. I'll let Connor have a couple of seconds to think about it. Anybody in the comments as well. Any reason why, and I'm talking about serious reasons, beat Bob Boop, not the fact he's got lovely hair. Serious reasons as to why we should keep Russell Martin as the manager. Look past your anger, look past your frustration, look past the fact that he's the worst manager in modern day history at this football club. Is there any genuine footballing reason why we should keep Russell Martin as the manager at Rangers Football Club? Just give me one. I'm just looking for one. Connor.
I personally couldn't give you any reason. I don't see any reason. I mean, look, from the board's perspective, maybe their reasoning will be that it's early in the season, early into his tenure in his contract. They know if they do pull the trigger, they're going to have to pay him the remainder of his contract, which we've been doing every year now for the last 4 or 5 years, which is just as ridiculous, getting to just a shambles stage where every year we're having a conversation about a manager getting sacked. Now, maybe the board are thinking from that point of view, but other than that, I see no reason that I can think of to keep him about.
Brian, I've got a couple of people here. Jim Cunningham, because they've spent money and backed him. And also from Tatty By, he's building for the future.
No.
Any of them float your boat?
No, I'm sorry. There's nothing. I'm sorry. I'm with Connor on this. I said no straight away. There's not one thing where you can turn around and go, you know what? I can see this reason for keeping them, or I can see that reason for keeping them. I've been of this opinion now for several weeks, where I've no reason to keep him. His man management is awful. His tactics are awful. His substitutions are awful. There's just nothing there. There's just nothing. There's no signs. There's no green shoots. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. As far as I'm concerned, the tunnel is black. There's no little shred of light coming out at the end of the tunnel. There's just nothing. It's just, yeah, all that feel good factor from the summer where the takeover was completed, and all that has just been sucked right out of us, isn't it? All that feel good factor, it's just gone. And there is no sane person who's a Rangers fan. I have not spoke to or had conversations with anybody who supports Rangers who thinks this is going to turn around. Simply as nobody. I've not seen anything online. I've not seen anybody to suggest that I think this guy will turn it around because of X, Y, or Z. I have not seen anybody come out and back this manager now since probably, I think Dundee at home was the sort of the one for a lot of people where everybody was like, right, that's it, enough's enough. So, well, there's not a single good reason for keeping him. You can back him. You can back a manager with money and all that, but at the same time, you've got to be big enough and ugly enough to turn around and say you've made a mistake. And the board at the start of the season did say, Marath and Kavanagh did say, you only hear from us if things are going wrong. Well, surely things are going wrong now. Things have gone way beyond going wrong. So we have to be hearing from them very soon. They've got to explain, and as Connor says, they've got to explain why they're back. This decisions, we're keeping him. They've got to come out to the fans and say, we're doing this because X, Y. And what I don't want is, say we get beat by Hibs and then they sack him. I'm like, well, this could have been solved if we just got a new manager in before the Hibs game. At least we could have maybe stayed in the League Cup. Now it looks as though we're going to not sack him before Hibs, and there's a chance we're going to go out the League Cup. So that gives us one less chance to potentially, get our hands on some silverware, because let's be honest, the league's probably beyond us now. As it currently stands with the manager at the helm. So that leaves you only two other chances to win a cup, which is the Scottish Cup and the League Cup. And you're sacrificing a League Cup just for the sake of how many weeks that you're going to keep this guy. So, no, there's the chairman and the vice chairman have got to come out very soon and explain things very quickly.
Yeah, they do. I mean, Connor, I'm going to put these two comments together, right? But Big Phil, the fans only see the 90 minutes. That was an incredible statement. That blew my mind when he said that. And Bear 91 super chat. Thank you very much, Bear. The game against Hibs next week at Ibrox, I guarantee, will be half empty. Showed his ego with reporters yesterday. I mean, that presser. I mean, some of the stuff he was hitting it with, the fans didn't want me here anyway. Well, prove us wrong then. Prove us wrong. We don't want you here. You come in and you have a good start, and your team plays well, and you're fighting at the top of the league, and we gave a good account of ourselves in the Champions League qualifiers. You've showed us nothing, absolutely nothing. And then to say, but the fans only see the 90 minutes. The fans only care about the 90 minutes, Connor.
Well, the 90 minutes is all that matters. The training pitch isn't going to win you trophies, league titles, football matches. That's not. Yes, the training pitch is important. Of course it is, because you want to get your messages across and drill, the players to understand where, what they should be doing. I get that, and making sure people are fit. So training's important, yes. But why should the fans need to see anything other than the 90 minutes? What else are we meant to judge you on? Oh, we were brilliant in training. Who cares? I don't care how good you were in training. You weren't good on the park. If we were mincemeat for the 90 minutes in the pitch, then the training is irrelevant. But again, this is Russell Martin trying to find excuses and blame other people. It's not his fault. It's the usual nonsense that we've become accustomed to already this season. It is bonkers to me, to be perfectly honest with that statement. But again, it reeks of desperation. It reeks of a man who has no answers because he has no clue. And so he's going to make pompous, silly statements like that carry zero water with anybody.
None. Nobody. And he just made an absolute fool of himself in the press conference yesterday, to be honest. Yorkie Scotland with the super sticker. Thank you very much, Yorkie, for the support. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that super sticker in the comments now. So thank you very much, Yorkie. And William Graham for super chat. Thank you, William, for the support, buddy. I wasn't there yesterday. I didn't buy the Hibs game, and I haven't for the first time bought the European package. I'm gutted the board won't call it. He won't be the first, Brian. He certainly won't be the last. I'll be amazed if these European packages sell out with Russell Martin as a manager.
And maybe that's one aspect that the board might sit up and take notice, is the fact that these European packages aren't getting bought. The Hibs tickets won't get bought. The monies aren't coming in like they should be. I mean, they'll have been banking on Hibs being sold out, the European packages getting sold out, when they suddenly see money's not getting spent on tickets and people coming to see the games, that might be the point where this new board might go, oh, we're not seeing the money coming in. They might, because they'll have obviously crunched the numbers and decided, right, if we sell the 4-match package for X, we're going to get this. They'll suddenly see that monies aren't getting spent. And the sad thing about it is the fans have only got pretty much one way of not supporting the club, and that is by spending money on tickets, unfortunately. And because, other than standing outside Ibrox and stomping your feet and, saying sack the board or sack the manager and all that, the fans have very little leeway. Don't care what anybody says, but, if we're just absolute pawns in this game of chess. We're just cannon fodder, and we're collateral damage in this. So we're the last people that's thought of in this situation, unfortunately. We should be the first that matters, but unfortunately we're the last ones that matter. So it's the pocket, the money's not coming into the club as it should do. Is the fans' only way to show their displeasure, and I do not blame one person for not going. I would never sort of suggest or try and encourage anybody not to go, because it's a personal prerogative. If you want to go, you go. If you don't want to go,
Absolutely.
You don't want to go.
Absolutely.
If I'll never criticize anybody for not going. Absolutely, I won't. So at the end of the day, it's a personal thing, and I don't blame anybody for not going. I really don't, because it's hard going just now. It really is, and it's a shame that the feel, as I said before, all the feel good factor and all the the buzz was at the start of the season is just gone, isn't it? It's just there's nothing there now, and it's mind blowing to think how quickly this is nosedived. It's alarming, actually, how quickly this is nosedived.
Yeah, 100%. It's alarming. It really is alarming. And Connor, just this super chat from Greg. Greg, thanks very much, buddy. Leeds is the owner's main priority, not us. Right. The reason that I disagree with that is that we're not owned completely by the people who own Leeds. We've got Andrew Kavanagh in there who's got nothing to do with Leeds. We've got other board members in there who have got nothing to do with Leeds. The 49ers group, etc. That's a percentage of people who own us. But it's hard to disagree with people, Connor, when we're going through what we're going through right now, and there doesn't seem to be anything getting done about it.
Oh, of course it is, because it does feel like we're not a priority. It does feel like they don't care when they're seemingly willing to back Russell Martin at all costs, when they don't think now would be a good time to speak to the fans, because it is going wrong, as Brian touched on earlier. It does feel like we're an afterthought. So I get, excuse me, I get that sentiment 100%. For Greg, I tend to agree with what you're saying, Martin, that they are a percentage of the people who own us, but there are plenty of people there who have no connection to Leeds, and for whom Rangers is the only club that they're affiliated with, and therefore should be their main priority. If they're not, if Rangers isn't those people's main priority, then those people need to get out of the car. Because it should be. I just don't get. Honestly, I don't know what it will take. I don't know how long the board think they can sit in abject silence for. I agree with what Brian had said earlier as well about I don't blame people who are not going to go. Fact is, personally, I will not go either until he's gone. Me and Alex plan to go to a game, but if Russell Martin is still in the dugout, I will not be attending. It's bad enough that I have to watch it for the purposes of doing this podcast. Because quite frankly, if I wasn't doing this podcast and didn't have to watch it, I wouldn't watch it in the telly either. Because it's not worth wasting 90 minutes of my life to watch that absolute dross.
And I think Liam Duffy's comment just a wee while ago about, where's the future fan base coming from? This is another problem we're facing.
Yeah, it is.
Because our club has not been winning or doing very well for a good number of years now. I applaud any parent who manages to get their kid along to Rangers games just now. I really do, because how on earth do you convince a kid to come and support Rangers just now? I just don't. I find it amazing that any kid does want to come along just now, because it's such a shit show. If you manage to get a kid under 10-year-old to come and start supporting Rangers and getting them into the way of being a loyal fan and going to every games, I mean, well done. If you can get your kid to consistently go with you, then well done to you, because it's very difficult now to convince, because we all know what kids are like now. They want to support winners. They want to support teams that are winning things week in, week out, and we're far from doing that, aren't we? Let's be honest.
Brian, you've met, and so is Connor actually, you've met Phoebe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Phoebe's quite a sporty person. For those who don't know, by the way, Phoebe's my daughter, right? She's quite a sporty person. She does her dancing and all that, Brian. She used to do her gymnastics. She played a wee bit of football when she was younger. I cannot get her to get interested in Rangers in the slightest. She does not care. She is not interested. She doesn't want to watch them. And this is part of the problem. This is absolutely part of the problem. Like every time I've said to her, do you want me to take you Ibrox? Do you want to go and watch Rangers? It's, nah, Dad. Can I just stay at home? And I'm like, right, well, I can't go then. And I think that's a great point, Connor. The future generation of Rangers fan, like literally, what would be the difference right now in where we are and how we are playing between supporting Rangers and supporting any other team in the top flight?
Well, right now there really wouldn't be. I suppose the only difference might be that we're in Europe. Most of the other teams aren't. That might be a bit it at this moment in time. I mean, look, we all accept, right, that in football, you don't get it your own way all the time. There's going to be periods of time where things aren't going well, where you're not winning league titles, because that's the nature of football. And any young fan who is going to support the team or whatever would have to understand that, just because it's great now, it doesn't mean it'll always be great. That you're probably going to have a season or two that you don't like what's happening and things are crap. But for Rangers, it's been an ongoing circus for far too long. Ever since we won 55, we've done nothing since then to progress or move forward. We've actively regressed over that period of time. We've went through managers, like most people go through underwear. Every single time, every season, next manager's getting sacked, right? That's the next manager having to go. We're constantly getting it wrong. We've got a new board in now, which in the summer provided a bit of excitement for Rangers fans. We were all looking forward to what this new board would bring, to what the 49ers group would bring, what would Thelwell do for the club. There was an optimism. But that optimism drained very quickly when they announced Russell Martin as the manager, because a lot of people went, oh, this isn't going to work. And those people are being proven to be correct. It's as simple as that. They are right. He's done nothing to prove us wrong. And I honestly, to see the balloon busting so quickly after the optimism of the summer, it's remarkable to me. And do you know the thing is? I think most Rangers fans would have accepted that we might not have won the league this season, so long as we were actually in a fight, in a race for it, and we were putting in the performances and giving our all out there, and maybe picking up a cup or two along the way, because then you could see discernible progress, and you'd be able to then go into next season and go, I'll tell you what, there's a chance because there's progress there. I don't think anybody was deluded enough to think, oh, we're definitely going to win the league. But we cannot, be in the position we're in now and find that in any way acceptable.
No. Point here for Colin Matthew. Thank you for the support, Colin. Can you see us in the Championship next season, guys? Because I can. I don't see it being that bad, Brian. There is some really poor teams in the league. We won't be as dire as we are right now. I don't know how much better we'll get under Russell Martin. We won't be that dire all season, but that it would come to that. But I can understand why people are going with this narrative. Because right now we're 10th in the league.
I can see where Colin's coming from. Absolutely, same as you. I would like to think there's at least two worse than us. Surely, you know what I mean. I would like to think that. I mean, but that is the sad state of affairs just now. That folk, Colin's feeling like that. Other people are maybe feeling like that. I mean, this is where we are. Is this where we are as a club now? Simple as that. Is this where we are that people are actually genuinely worried about going down? I mean, wow, that's even a new low for us, isn't it? That's even lower than I thought was possible. Cheapers. I'm trying to digest that actually. There's no universe where we get anywhere near relegation. I'm sorry, I'm not having that. I'm just not having that. I'd like
Brian. 5 games in, we haven't won a game, and we've drew 4 and lost 1. That's relegation form, right? Just putting that out there. That is relegation form. I know it's only 5 games in, right? And I know that we're probably being a bit hyperbolic, right? I think that's how you pronounce it. I'll need to ask Ian Thompson if that's how you pronounce that word. I know we're all a bit emotional when it comes to Rangers. We're all a bit fed up. We're all a bit pissed off. But right now we are in relegation form.
How? I just can't get my head around the fact that this is where we are now. I just can't get my head around it. I mean, this is absolutely bonkers, isn't it? This is bonkers where we're starting to now imagine where our club's going. I mean, I can't get my head around that thought. I'm sorry. I'll just have to stay out of this one.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Colin. But let me put this to you then, Connor. Right. So if I'm reading this correctly, our next few league fixtures, so just in the league, not in the cup or in Europe: Livingston away, Falkirk away, Dundee United at home, Kilmarnock at home, and then Hibs away. That's the next 5 games, right? Now, normally you would be thinking to yourself, like, Livingston away can be tricky because of the pitch and that. But, we've went there and we've won. Falkirk away should be a no-brainer. Newly promoted team. We should absolutely beat them. Dundee United at home. Not really sure. Kilmarnock. Always make it tricky for us. And Hibs away. Genuinely, with Russell Martin as the manager, Connor, the way that we're feeling right now, out of those next 5 games, how many points do you realistically see us picking up?
Go
through it game by game, right? So Livingston away. What you thinking right now as you sit here?
Well, right now, I'm thinking Livingston away. Maybe we get a point.
Falkirk away.
I would expect, even as poor as we've been playing, 3 points to that.
Right, Dundee United at home.
Well, we should get 3 points, but we've been garbage at home in particular, so I'd probably say another draw.
Kilmarnock at home.
Draw.
Hibs away.
Beat.
So you've got us getting 5 points out the next 5 games.
And our current
relegation.
Form.
That's relegation for them. Is what that is. That's relegation for them. That's how we all feel right now. Which leads me on to Connor then, just a quick discussion about Thelwell and Purdy and Stewart. I've never really been that invested in a director of football or a CEO. That's always been well above my pay grade in terms of the way that I think. I've just always focused on the manager and on the coaching staff, right? But I really have to question if Farewell and Purdy and Stewart are up for this job.
Well, I think we all do, yes. I'm not entirely sure. Somebody's accused me of having blinkers on. I don't know how you would get that impression. But no, at the end of the day, if that is what ends up happening, and they stick by Russell Martin, and those results end up falling, even if we get 2 wins in that time, 2 or 3, it still isn't good enough. Even if we took 9 points instead of 5, it still wouldn't be good enough. But if it does go as we think it will, and the board stick by him, then you absolutely need to start asking questions about whether their position is tenable any longer. Is it tenable for Patrick Stewart to stay in post if he keeps backing Russell Martin blindly? Is it tenable for Kevin Thelwell? Those are the questions that will, rightly so, start to be asked. And they'll have nobody to blame but themselves if it does get to that point. For me, he should already be gone. It doesn't look like he will be. So, if he goes out of the cup to Hibs, I really can't see how they could continue to back him. And if they did, then yes, their own positions become, come into question.
He's one of the best coaches he's ever worked with. Kevin Farewell said about Russell Martin, Brian. That's grounds for a sacking right away.
I think Kenny that's on the pod. He's very in his coaching and that, and even he struggles to understand what Russell Martin is trying to do on the pitch. And Kenny's admitted he only coaches youth football, but even Kenny's got a grasp in the understanding that what's happening on the pitch doesn't make sense. So that's as Kenny's admitted himself. He's a youth coach, and he can see things that are going wrong that he would suggest to try and fix. But it's just. If Thelwell thinks if Thelwell's the best manager that he's worked, that Martin's the best manager he's worked with, then I don't think that's a very high bar, is it? That bar is not very high. So, but yeah, I said a few pods ago that when are we going to start questioning Thelwell's, thought processes and thought Thelwell's sort of reasonings and is basically his ability to do the job. Thelwell was meant to be, allegedly was meant to be very good at Everton. I've heard mixed reports about that since then. So yeah, we've now got to start questioning the director of football now. Absolutely. And what Jordy said earlier about looking at the league, I have seen the league, Jordy. So don't worry. The league table was flashed up in our group chat very quickly after the game yesterday because we were trying to work out if Dundee had won and if Aberdeen had won, if we were going to be any sort of where near bottom. So yeah, we were well aware of the league. So yeah, I know the league. I'm in a bit of disbelief and a bit of a state of shock that we're actually considering that scenario. That's all I'm saying. That scenario never crosses any Rangers fan's mind that relegation's a possibility, and it still doesn't for me. Yeah.
No, I don't think it is a possibility, but right now it feels like it because of how poor we are.
It feels like it, absolutely, because all you're seeing is rubbish, and you don't see a way out. But the way out for me is getting rid of the manager and going after somebody, as Connor says, ask the question to Jose Mourinho. Go and ask. Go and ask these guys. If you don't ask, you don't get. At least ask the question and sort of put yourself out there that you're trying to get a guy like him in, and you're wanting to move forward and get better. At least if for example, say if they did ask Coach Jose Mourinho, at least the players would look at him and go, "Jesus, we've got Mourinho. Oh, I'm gonna have to buck up my ideas." Get a guy with a bit of presence in that's gonna demands things off the players, and the players are gonna run through brick walls for. That's what you're wanting. You're wanting guys that are going to, burst their gut for 90 minutes. And if you're 2-1 down, they're going to. You can actually see evidence of people rolling their sleeves up and trying to get something out of a game. As soon as we go 1-0 down, though, how often do you see or think, "Oh, we're going to get back into this"? Very rarely.
Never.
Very rarely do you see a game where we go 1-0 down and you think, "Oh, it's all right. We'll come back." No chance. And that's the problem.
No, yeah. I mean, Andrew Duncan, with a massive super sticker. Thank you very much, Andrew. If you're watching on YouTube, you can go back and see that now. Thank you very much for the support, Andrew. As always, channel member as well. Big Brian has been a channel member for 10 months. Thank you very much, Big Brian, for all your support. He's also put a super chat in. Weird Doom, Mr. Mannering. Great discussion, lads. Thank you very much, Brian. It's been I feel like I've been saying this for the past kind of barring 1 year, 4 year, 5 year of doing this show, that it's not a nice conversation to have, and we seem to have it far too often. Brian, mate, thank you very much for the support. Blue Teddy Bear has also been a member for 14 months. Thank you very much, Tess, for all the support that you give. And I mean, just little things like this, Connor, from Yorkie, Scotland, super chat. Wife and I were up till 4 a.m. Hawaii time. I mean, the fact that you're in Hawaii, I'm not jealous. To view that shambles. Things won't change unless your game plan changes. And the game plan was something that we spoke quite a lot about in the lead up to this game, Connor, that he changed it slightly against Celtic and it made us look a little bit better defensively. He went back to his old ways against Hearts and it just went right back into the shambles that we've been. So this game plan isn't changing unless it's against a team that Russell Martin thinks is slightly better than average.
Well, I mean, yeah, but the difficulty is that he obviously doesn't view anybody in the Scottish top flight out with Celtic as better than average, which is wrong because Hearts are a very decent side. Aberdeen are, have their moments, although they probably are average. Hibs, very decent side, certainly have been, over the last 7 or 8 months or so under David Gray. He needs to get that attitude out of his head because you need to get them up for it against anybody, regardless of your opponent. Your opponent could be Formentine United, could be Forest Mechanics. It doesn't matter. You still need to get up for the games. And you still need to treat it as seriously as you would any other game. Approaching it in any other way is not just disrespectful to that team, but it's disrespectful to your own fans. But that's, Martin has his way. Listen, fair play to Yorkie being in Hawaii. I'm sure it didn't soften the blow too much, but I think I would rather I was in Hawaii, personally.
Yeah, it would be much nicer to deal with the pain, wouldn't it, if you were in Hawaii, to be brutally honest with you. Let's finish up on this then, Brian, and it kinda is the question I suppose everybody wants to know that we probably can't answer, to be fair, but channel member Doreen, big supporter of the channel, thank you very much, Doreen. Super chat, and I feel all we do is wonder how we're going to get out of this mess. When or will it ever end? When is enough going to be enough? When are the board going to turn around and go, that's it, time up? How bad does it need to get? What position do we need to be in? I mean, Connor's obviously been extremely bored throughout this whole show because he's been yawning like a trooper. But how bad does it need to get, Brian?
I mean, I think we all sort of were asking that question before we started. I mean, does it take 10th place in the league? Clearly not. Does it take going out of the League Cup? Maybe. Does it potentially take us to go in bottom of the league? I don't know. I mean, the bar now is not that the bar's not very high now, and that's the scary thing. The bar's not high in the sense of worrying where the bottom out point is. mean, if you were anywhere near if you were nowhere near second, that's when you were starting to sort of panic and get worried. Like, if you even dropped to third, if you dropped outside the top two, there was a slight panic back in the day. Whereas now, we're comfortably 10th. We're lucky to be 10th because, as I say, the first 3 games we drew, we were very lucky. I just don't know where the bottom out is now. I just don't know how low things can go before a board react. As I say, if they at least reacted after this weekend, you could say, well, there's a chance then that the Hibs result might not be a defeat. But the status quo, all you can see is a Hibs win, and I just do not know where or how low we've to go before things get sorted. There's one quick solution to this, and that's sack the manager and get somebody else in. But the evidence doesn't suggest that's going to happen anytime soon. So we're kind of in purgatory just now, aren't we? We're just in that zone where nothing happens. We're in that horrible sort of zone where you've got no hope and you're just looking around for anything, and there's nothing. There's just nothing, and this is the problem with being fans. You're just afterthoughts. You're not really in the minds of the powers that be. So, yeah, we're just in a bit of purgatory, aren't we?
We most certainly are. Connor, mate, I don't even want to know what time you were up till last night, because I can imagine there was some wrestling on or something. Was there some wrestling on last night, Connor?
No, I wasn't up late last night. I'm just not feeling very well.
Well, you tell me that before we start, so I don't take the piss out of you.
All right.
Just finishing up on that point, then, Connor. Just the same as Brian and as everybody in the comments is saying. When does this end?
Well, I mean, it should end today, but it won't. I think it ends if he goes out the cup to Hibs. I think it ends then, because I think at that point I'm not sure how. I mean, I don't know how they can justify it now, but at that point, it would be totally gone. It already is, but for me, I think it ends next week if he loses to Hibs. Sadly, if he actually beats Hibs, he'll stay in a job a bit longer. But yeah, it's perhaps wishful thinking, Martin, because I don't, I want it to end as soon as possible. I don't think that the board are of an opinion to end it at least before next Saturday against Hibs.
No, and I can only apologise to everybody that I've not got better news for you all, and that Russell Martin is still the manager of Rangers Football Club, and it doesn't look like being over anytime soon. And I just don't see the upturn. I mean, we had players out in international duty. We had Asgard scoring 4 goals for Norway. We had Raskin scoring for Belgium. We had John Souttar, who looked like a defender for Scotland. And they come back to play for Rangers, and they all look as if they can't kick a ball. And to me,
we even had a player that hadn't played for us yet scoring a free kick.
Yes,
Cornelius.
And he didn't even start.
And he wasn't even good enough to start, but he came on at half time.
Yeah, which is just another example of Martin getting it wrong. It's not getting better anytime soon, folks. I always caveat it by saying I hope I'm wrong. And I do hope I'm wrong, but there's just no evidence to suggest that any of us are wrong. So on that note, folks, we'll leave you there. We'll let you get back to trying to enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you very much to everybody who's tuned in. Please make sure if you're watching on YouTube that you do leave a like, and make sure that you are subscribed. If you're watching on Twitter, make sure you're following. Give us a wee retweet as well. All the support we get really, really helps. Thank you so much for all the super chats today. It really does go a long way, and it really helps the show out. So thank you very much. Thank you for all the comments as well. Everybody listening back on all the audio platforms, and all the comments that we get on the stream after we have been live. So thank you very much, folks. We are back for members tonight at 8 p.m. with the boardroom. And then we are back with your regular scheduled programming from tomorrow as well. So thank you, everybody. Go and try and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And yeah, thanks for all the support.